Welcome to Learn Medical Spanish. Today I'll be going over some things you could say to the patient to help prepare them for answering just yes or no questions and short answer questions. In other words, if you don't know Spanish that well, but you just have a list of some yes and no questions to ask them and a few short answer questions, here's how you could explain that to them so that they're less likely to go off on tangents and start talking about things that you can't understand. This is similar to some content in my CME course, so if you want more details about that, just check the link in the podcast episode description or the YouTube video description. As usual, I'll be saying the phrases in English first, and then giving you a chance to think about the translation for a few seconds, and then I'll say it in Spanish a couple of times. And ideally, whenever I say it in Spanish, repeat it out loud so that you can get some practice. Okay, so here's the first phrase. I only speak a little Spanish. Think about how to say that. Solo hablo poco español. Solo hablo poco español. And this is similar. You might not need to say both things, but this is, I don't speak Spanish very well. No hablo español muy bien. No hablo español muy bien. So like I said, you might not say both of those phrases, but you'd pick the one that fits your situation slightly more closely. The next one, I can't understand very much Spanish. So again, this is kind of redundant almost with the other one, so you just pick whatever works for you. I can't understand very much Spanish. No puedo entender mucho español. No puedo entender mucho español. I will use some yes or no questions. Voy a usar unas preguntas de sí o no. Voy a usar unas preguntas de sí o no. Some questions also ask for a number or time. Algunas preguntas también piden un número o tiempo. Algunas preguntas también piden un número o tiempo. So, of course, this is referring to some short answer questions that you might ask them. You could say some various other things to kind of explain this. You could just say, like, I'm going to ask some questions with a short answer. Preguntas con una respuesta corta que necesitan una respuesta corta. Something like that the question has a short answer or needs a short answer. So just some other ways you could kind of think about phrasing things. Here's the next phrase. Please respond only with yes or no, or the shortest answer possible. Por favor, responda solo con sí o no, o la respuesta más breve posible. Por favor, responda solo con sí o no, o la respuesta más breve posible. So the second half of that is in parentheses. If you're just listening, I'm letting you know the second half is in parentheses, which means that the idea there is you don't have to say that whole phrase. You could just say the first half, which is, please respond only with yes or no. So if you want to see the text, if you're just listening to the podcast and you want to see the text, just head over to the links in the episode description on my website or on YouTube, and either one will have the text there. Next phrase. If you say more, I probably won't understand. Si dice más cosas, es probable que yo no entienda. Si dice más cosas, es probable que yo no entienda. So now we're switching gears just a tiny bit, and these are a couple things you can say if you've already started the dialogue and then the patient gets off track. If they start going off on a tangent and you don't know what they're saying and you want to kind of get them back on track, you could try saying this. I'm sorry, I can't understand. Lo siento, no puedo entender. Lo siento, no puedo entender. I don't understand very much Spanish. No entiendo mucho español. No entiendo mucho español. And then you could, with that, after that, you could kind of circle back to some of the other phrases in the dialogue to kind of be like, to remind them, yeah, we're just going to use these yes or no questions, these short answer questions, and please try to keep your answer short and that sort of thing. So there you go. Like I alluded to earlier, there's a lot of different ways you could explain that kind of stuff, but these are just some phrases that could do the job. So if you want to try using this dialogue. So I have some other dialogues going over different chief complaints in the ER and other things that would be useful for various medical providers. And there will be a playlist there on YouTube if you're on YouTube, as well as a video about my CME course with some additional details. And if you're on the podcast, there's links to some of that same stuff, well, to the CME course in the episode description. And then, of course, you can find some of those dialogues on the podcast. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time on Learn Medical Spanish.